Good morning. Another glorious morning, heading out to work. Just trying to do my thing. Just wanted to, have a quick chat with you peeps and talk about like I've talked before, in my song that I created, how all these channels, all these Second Amendment channels talk about the same exact things over and over, like an echo chamber. Okay, we know about the 34 ATF rules, we know about the Rody v. Bonta, we know about all these other cases that you seem to want to uplift and bring awareness to for some odd reason. But when it comes to cases like mine, or even Yukataki, Yukataki is a great case that everyone should be covering, but no one's ever heard of it. You know what I mean? I don't understand that. Why are any of these cases getting covered? There's a lot of independent Second Amendment news channels, yet they will not touch my case. Only great channels like 2A Tactical Dad, News of the Pews, John Crump News, Yankee Marshall. Those are the only, and if you notice, they don't have like sponsors. You know what I mean? News of the Pews says all the time, I don't have sponsors. I make my own stuff. I do my own thing, his own edits. That's the only people who are willing to catch on to this case because they really research it and they know exactly that what's going on and that it's real. The guy from Gun Guy TV, that Joel Persinger, I reached out to him. Hey, I see you're a great gun guy. I watched your content for years, blah, blah, blah. I followed you. I've listened to you. I've, taken your recommendations for products and things. Now, all of a sudden, it's like, well, I don't even know if your case is real. I only cover real cases and cases that happen. And I'm like, it's a real case. Just look on Pacers. Here, I even sent him screenshots on my Pacers. He still was, I don't know if he was responding with AI or what, but I just started doing the same thing, just responding back with a response from AI, you know what I mean? Because you could tell because of the punctuation and things like that, how people are responding in AI. It wasn't even him. He wasn't even want to even bother with me, you know what I mean? And then I come to find out all of these Second Amendment content creators, like Gun Owners Radio, of course, those are the biggest Fudds on the internet. They're all connected to, these issuing agencies and everything else like that. No different with any of these other guys, you know what I mean? They talk about the same things over and over, the same cases, the same problems, the same, 34 ATF rules change. Like, we know about that, dude. There's literally dozens of channels covering that same story. So why do you have to cover it? Why don't you cover something worthwhile like Yukataki or even the case out of Hawaii that no one ever knew about until Alan Beck picked it up and started bringing out the going and doing interviews and things like that. So why don't they break out of the norm? Why don't they get out of that little rut that they're in, the same little echo chamber, talking about the same cases over and over and over again? It's because it's all part of the whole psyop. It's all part of the whole system to make you believe that they're actually doing something when really they want to bury the real cases that are going to actually make a difference and bring down this whole monetary system. They don't want you to know about it because they all benefit from it. You know what I mean? If they're a YouTube 2A gun tuber, especially in California, they obviously have like a training company or something, right? They want to train people. They want to get money off of sitting you in a classroom and telling you to think like this and do that. Bruh, it's a freaking gunfight, dude. You know what I mean? Like, if you've never experienced violence, and then you don't know how much of a shit show and how chaotic things get. You know what I mean? Like, there's no time to go through your little stupid theatrics that you learned in training. You know what I mean? It's first one to pick up, first one to aim, and first one to shoot. You know what I mean? That's what you need to practice on. Is to be fast, is to be slow in a hurry. You know what I mean? Like, you just take your time and you aim and you this and that, and all these other theatrics they show you, it's all bull. It goes out the window as soon as pressure sticks in and stress, and the nervous system is trying to make sense of what's going on when a violent encounter happens. You know what I mean? And that's what they don't. That's something you can never train for. You know what I mean? You could train to aim, you could train to draw, you could train. But you can't train to win a gunfight. You know what I mean? It's somebody who's never used a gun before, somebody who does absolutely no military training whatsoever, could take out a Navy SEAL like that because of some fluke or some kind of, whatever. They aimed and pulled the trigger and it just happened to hit its spot. It doesn't require training to win a gunfight. It requires you keeping your sound mind and being able to function in a high stress situation. That's it. That's what you should be focusing on. That's what you should be training for. And then they do these little stupid theatrics where it's like, yeah, we're gonna do this to imitate, a high stress situation. All you're doing is you're just hanging out with the boys and having fun. That's it. You know what I mean? You're basically paying them to hang out with the boys and go shoot and have fun, and they know it. They know that, they're not really teaching you any real things. Same, look at the CCW courses. It's literally just a pizza party with you sitting around a bunch of dudes watching active self-protection videos while they talk about, like, don't do this and don't do that. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, what the hell? You know what I mean? If you've ever taken a CCW course in California, I'm not saying all are like that. I'm not saying all trainers are lame POSs, but most are. You know what I mean? Most are. 90% of these trainers are just grifters. They are not training you to do anything fucking right. They're just grifters. They're just hoping that you pay another $200 or whatever they charge for their class, and they try to fill them up as much people as they can, so you don't have any one-on-one instruction. You know what I mean? If they did one-on-one instruction with the amount of people they pack in a class, you'd be there for 6 days. And they'll never do that. If you go to a CCW class, it's a minimum of 25 people plus. Okay? And if you think about it, they're charging, I don't know, what is it now, $300 for the 16-hour course? So yeah, $300 times 30, that's some pretty good change right there that you're making. You know what I mean? It's a pretty good coin. Oh, just for a weekend gig on the side. You know what I mean? And most of these CCW trainers, especially in like this area, they're all, either active cops, ex-cops. You know what I mean? And it's like they're keeping that bread and butter for their own. You know what I mean? And it even got down to a point where they wouldn't even accept a CCW trainer unless he was post-certified. You know what I mean? Like the police officer standards training certified or whatever. So the only people that had that in the past were cops. So the only ones who were able to run these CCW training courses were active or former cops that had post-training. And the public doesn't have access to that. And I'm not sure if that's still going on, because I don't really care about CCW training anymore. Not a thing I need to worry about or do. So never really kept up on it. So I don't know exactly what's going on there, but I talked to a guy at a gun show, which I did a video about the day I left the gun show. He was talking about how he had to deal with the CCW coordinator out of Riverside and how much of an asshole he was, and it was either his way or no way. And he didn't care that he was taking away people's certifications, the ability to certify people in Riverside County as a trainer. You know what I mean? Because he wanted to take care of it just the same way how they took care of him. Because like I said, the person from CRPA told me that he was forced into retirement because of the rotten things he was doing. So that's the rumor, okay? So now they're taking care of him because they're like, oh, well, you're one of us. You're a cop. You can still make money on CCW. Just start a concierge service. You know what I mean? What a freaking gas, dude. You know what I mean? Like, what a scam. We're gonna act and we're gonna play the role that we're some Second Amendment champions and we're here to fight for your rights. But yet, let's establish this private for-profit company that's gonna train you and teach you how to beg the government properly so you get your CCW. Why can't anyone see the scam? Why isn't anyone covering that? You know what I mean? News of the Pews did. Hopefully other people will. You know what I mean? Because it's total freaking BS, dude. You're paying a private company for access to a constitutional right. Does not make sense. Like, if somebody brought that to me, I'd be like, no, we're not going to do that. No. People's rights are their rights, and they should have access to it for free. No matter what color or what religion or what race or what, whatever they are. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense, in my opinion. But to them, it makes perfect sense because money. Money, I like money. Like idiocracy. You know what I mean? I like money. They're willing to do all kinds of stupid, horrible things for money. That's it. And me, if I need money, I just work hard. If I need to buy something I want, I work harder. I don't go and I make up a scam to scam people. You know what I mean? Come on, dude. Get the hell out of here. But everybody loves them. You know what I mean? They're the good people, and they're the ones with good moral character. You know what I mean? Well, not me, it's them. You know what I mean? Why? Because I might be Muslim. I might practice Islam, according to him. That to him in his little pea brain, Mark Skolin, that was enough for me to not have any rights was the assumption and the thought that I might be somebody who practices Islam. So, is that the kind of person you want controlling your application? Is that the kind of person you want knowing your personal information? Is that the person you want having access to your rights? You know what I mean? Because look at what he did to me. You know what I mean? The proof is in the pudding. I've documented everything for the last 3 years. So you can't say I just made it up. No, I've been talking about this for a long time. Then he's got the nerve to start a podcast, and his slogan is, your rights, your freedom, the mindset to protect both. Oh, how noble. Oh, man, that is such great marketing right there. You know what I mean? But I made something up, you know, a little joke caricature of him where it says, your rights, your freedom, I'm the asshole to take them away, which is totally true. You know what I mean? He is the asshole that will take away your rights. So, all right, peeps, just wanted to bring up that issue to you. Why don't these Second Amendment channels cover cases like mine or these other cases, like these pro se cases? Like, they want nothing to do with it. All they talk about is like these major cases ran by, you know, these Second Amendment organizations, and they're paid to stay silent, and they don't want to cover anything. You know what I mean? So, all right, peeps, I will keep you updated as much as I can. Hopefully everything, you know, goes smoothly and goes the way, you know, whatever. But like I said, the only threat we have is Rody v. Bonta, because it's a CRPA case. And just like I said, CRPAs, in my opinion, is consulting the state on how to infringe on your rights so they all make money. It's a money-making machine, and they've created it, dude. And I'm the one that's going to throw a monkey wrench in the gears, and they know it. Because I don't care. I don't care about anything. I don't need you to like me. I don't want you to like me. I just want to be me. That's it. I just want to exercise my rights and defend my life against evil if they're ever trying to kill me in public. You know what I mean? But according to, you know, Riverside County's Sheriff CCW unit and Chad Bianco under him, they say I don't have that right. And I've never done anything and they've done more harm to people than I ever would even think in my mind. Okay? They've harmed more families and separated more children from parents than I would ever think of, because I've never done anything like that. I've never done anything like that to anyone. Never will. Why? Because I chose an occupation where I could keep my honor and my dignity and my sanity. Okay? That's exactly why I'm able to do what I do now, is because I have my sanity. I have my wits about me. And they try to slander me and make it sound like I was some crazy person on the streets. But look it, ever since then, they know I've had weapons. Have I harmed anybody? Have I robbed any liquor stores? Have I went and stalked anybody and harmed them in any way? No, I would never do anything like that. You know what I mean? But other people they issued it to have. Okay, so it just goes to show how bad at their job they are. So yeah, peeps, just check it out. Look through all the Second Amendment channels, and the day this whole 34 ATF rules, the day something like that comes out, you'll see all the channels follow suit and cover the same exact, like we need 30 channels covering the same exact story over and over, and there's so many other things to talk about, but they got to keep the narrative alive for their masters and the people who bought them and who they sold their soul to. So that's never going to be me, people. I will never want anything out of anyone, okay? I will never ask for money. I will never ask for donations. I will never ask you to bail me out of jail because of some stupid thing I did on the street and was yelling in cops' faces. But, hey, you know, that's what people like. You know, that's what people want to watch. So, frauditors aren't like me. You know, these other Second Amendment channels aren't like me. And people just need to get, they need to wake up and find out that what they really have, which is the power inherent to the people, is more powerful than you'll ever expect. So don't use violence. Don't be a weirdo. Don't be like the DC dinner shooter, whatever, if that even was a shooting. Don't be anything like these people. Don't use violence. Violence is not the answer. The only time you use violence is defend your life against evil when the time has come. And you better be prepared for it and have the mindset to defend against evil, because it's all out there in society. You know what I mean? It's everywhere. You got these organizations and these gangs and these this and that out there who are just willing to harm people, you know what I mean, that don't want anything to do with it at all. I don't want anything to do with violence. If I could live my life without having to harm somebody trying to harm me, I will die a happy man, a very happy man, because I never want to experience violence ever, okay? So, all right, people, take care.